we define some rules here, right? Um, and then it regularly monitors all the config changes, and then wherever possible, it would notify about the non-compliance. So we can integrate with the SNS to send notifications, integrate with the CloudWatch as well, and even we can store history of all these config changes in the S3 bucket. So this is here we have one example how this is used. Now here we have defined the AWS config rules, and whenever there is a change in the configuration, this rule is triggered. Config rule is triggered by any configuration change. Now, what this config rule is doing is actually evaluating the key policies. So whatever rules are being defined, right? Against that, we are scanning these key policies as per the rules, and then it gives a result as compliant or non-compliant based on the config change. I hope that config service is clear to everyone. The next is AWS backup. If you have any questions, please put on the chat. AWS backup. This is a cost-effective, fully managed, policy-based service that actually simplifies our data protection at scale. So usually when if we are not using AWS backup, it's like for each of the service, we maintain separate backups, maybe for RDS, for data on stored on the EC2, for not much required for S3, but yeah, we can think of, or apart from that for EBS backup or EFS, right? So instead of, maintaining the backups at the service levels, like, creating different backups, we can use the AWS backup, which is a centrally managed backup service. So it helps you support your regulatory compliance or business policies for data protection. Apart from that, it works for hybrid workloads as well. And whatever data we are storing here, it is encrypted. So it is completely secure and it gives you data protection as well. And then it also provides the data protection features like ransomware recovery capabilities or any compliance insights or analytics for data protection. So it's amazing to use this service because we are not creating any separate backups for each of the service. Also, it supports automated backup scheduling and retention management. So we can set up policies like where maybe every day at midnight, the backup would be taken. We can also use retention management, where the data which is getting archived, would get maybe moved to some other device, or maybe we are deleting it. So all those retention policies also can be managed. Okay. Next service is AWS Resource Access Manager. Now, AWS Resource Access Manager, we can use this in short form. We can call it as AWS RAM. And now this is used to share resources with the other accounts. So this service, it eliminates the need to provision and manage resources in every account, right? Sometimes we have services which are like um, created for different accounts, right? But in case if these are the shareable resources, then there is no need to create in the different accounts. Like think of the shared transit gateways, subnets, or some license manager, license configurations, Route 53, maybe some resolver rules. So these are the kind of resources which are actually shareable. So instead of creating these resources for each and every account, we can use the AWS Resource Access Manager. Let's see here how it works. So as you can see on the slide, first we select the resources which we want to be a shareable resource, and then we choose this service. We can manage permissions here as well, right? Um, Also, apart from the permissions, like maybe creating the policies that we can apply at the account level as well, we can manage that. And then apart from that, we can also monitor these through the Cloud Trail, so it can be integrated to the Cloud Trail and the CloudWatch. So once we have defined the services and we have defined the permissions, We specify whom to share with. So it can be with different accounts, OUs for the organizations, and then the people or maybe the other services can access these resources, right? So the benefit is that we are not creating the separate service or resource for each of the account. So this actually reduces the operation overhead, right? I hope till now it is meaningful. Everyone is able to get. So we are doing a kind of overview on all these services. Next category, we are starting with security, ID, and compliance. Under that, the very first one is AWS Directory Service. Now, AWS Directory Service, this provides multiple ways to use Microsoft Active Directory with the other services. So actually, Microsoft Active Directory, this is available to all the Windows servers. And we have a service that is AWS Directory Service, which can be integrated with this Microsoft AD. Now, what is the purpose of that? So usually directories, they store information about the users, groups, and devices, and then administrators use them to manage access to information and resources. So like setting up of the credentials, right? So usually what the admin role is in the organization is um, to create a directory, basically the set of credentials for each of the user, and also to assign roles and permissions to those users through which they can access resources from the other systems or the other servers as well. So in case if we see how this works, then as an example, if we have already managed directory at our end, maybe at the on-prem, so instead of creating the new resources or new credentials on the cloud, we can use AWS Directory Service. So through this, we can easily deploy or migrate our own existing directory, and through that, we are able to connect with the AWS resources or the applications, right? So if we have our existing directory at the on-prem and then we are planning to use cloud, then instead of creating new credentials on the cloud, we can integrate our existing directory with the Microsoft Active AD. That is the purpose. Okay, I only one slide here. Next, we have AWS Guard Duty. AWS Guard Duty. So as you know, we are talking about the security here. So Amazon Guard Duty, it's a very important and good service as well. It is a threat detection service. So threat detection service that continuously monitors your AWS accounts and workloads for malicious activities, right? And then also it delivers any detailed security findings for visibility and remediation. So how it works is, if you see here, it's a threat detection service. It continuously monitors all your resources, means all services which you have launched into your account. And first you have to enable the guard duty. So with the click of a button, you can enable this. Once you enable, it keeps on continuously analyzing, the type of like network traffic coming to your account, the data which is being accessed, the kind of data which is being stored, uh, or any malicious activity. So very easy to identify through the guard duty any kind of malicious activity which is happening to your account. It has the machine learning algorithms. So intelligently detect the threats. How it detects is it has machine learning anomaly detections to identify and prioritize the potential threats. Also, it is capable of analyzing tens of billions of events. So it's highly, highly scalable, right? And if we think of what all it can actually analyze is like once it detects something, it can stop any unauthorized activity. It also enables continuous monitoring and analysis and then simplify the forensics. So thinking of the use cases, it improves the security operations visibility, and then it easily identifies any unusual data access in S3, any suspicious logins, okay, or maybe any API calls which are from the malicious IP addresses. All that can be easily identified by Amazon Guard Duty. So please remember some of the key points for all of these services. Okay, next we have AWS Messi. Now this is also for the data protection. Now this Amazon Messi, it actually continuously evaluates your S3 buckets. So the data stored which is in the S3 bucket, it continuously monitors that, evaluates that, and then try to discover some PII information. So PII is the personally identifiable information like phone numbers, email IDs, credit card numbers, maybe the address, right? So it evaluates that, it discovers the PII information stored at the bucket level, and then once it is discovered, um, it's going to encrypt that, right? So just to protect all kind of sensitive information, we use Amazon Messi. So it takes action also once the findings are generated. Um, it is sent to the CloudWatch events so that the data can be protected as soon as possible. Again, it has machine learning algorithms. So to detect that VI information, it applies machine learning and pattern matching techniques. So mainly to protect data stored at S3 bucket. Next is AWS Web Application Firewall. Again, for the protection purpose. Now, in short form, we call it as WAF. So AWS WAF, it gives you control over how traffic reaches your applications by enabling you to create some security rules, right? Which can control a kind of like bot traffic or some, or it blocks the common attack patterns like SQL injection or cross-site scripting. So usually for this WAF, the purpose is, of course, to protect the applications. Now, this WAF can be integrated with all these services. If you see here, Amazon CloudFront, load balancers, API gateway, and an AppSync. So if you analyze, all these are kind of, the front end or the entry point for the applications. So before allowing this traffic to reach out to our real application, it actually we create a rules here. Okay, based on the rules created, it filters our traffic. Might be we are creating a rule that traffic from so and so IPs should not be allowed. So once these rules are created, okay, so not only about the IPs, but we can have different conditions here, like traffic from kind of HTTP headers or from some custom URIs that would be blocked here itself. So that is the purpose of AWS WAF. It's just to ease the deployment and maintenance, and then also uh, to block any kind of attack that is SQL injection or the cross-site scripting. Any questions so far? Any questions? No, Shafat. I hope you are able. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thanks. And I hope I am clearly audible, loud and clear to everyone. Yeah, it's clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, thanks. Right. So next we are starting with migration and transfer. So we have covered the security, ID and compliance. Also, we have covered the maintenance and governance. So let's start with migration and transfer. The very first one is here AWS Migration Hub. Now, AWS Migration Hub, it actually provides a single place to discover your existing servers, plan the migrations, and track the status of each application. So in case, like, the purpose of this service is that um, if you have your own servers, existing servers, maybe at the on-prem, and you are planning to migrate, so the migration hub actually would help you to discover, or maybe a kind of inventory where you can discover all of the information of the existing servers, and then it helps in planning the migration and then tracking the status of migration. So it gives you the visibility about planning and tracking of the migration. You can visualize the connections and then status of the servers and databases that make up each of the applications. So, of course, when you are talking about migrating application, it's not only about maybe some couple of servers, but yeah, we have databases, maybe we have some networking servers. So, migrating and then tracking each of the component of application would be done through the migration hub. So with the migration hub, you can import information about the on-premises servers, okay, and then it has actually a kind of discovery agent also. Uh, Through the discovery agent, you can even perform a deeper discovery of your servers. So we have a diagram here in the next slide, which is showing about how it works. So we have it can be agent or agentless discovery, but with the agent, we get more deeper information of the servers need to be transferred. This data is analyzed and collected here. This can be stored under the S3 or Athena QuickSight for maybe for the longer retention and then also for analysis purpose. Now, once this data is collected, it is organized into the application groups. So maybe like um, if we are now migrating the complete application, so a similar kind of servers or similar kind of components would be organized into one group. So like that, it is organized into the groups. And then also it gives you the recommendations based on your existing servers, recommendations for the right size of EC2 instances which are needed at the AWS side. Also, we can track the migrations. So this is the purpose of Migration Hub. Now, in Migration Hub, they have a feature that is Migration Hub Dashboard. Now, this Migration Hub Dashboard, it shows you the latest status and metrics of your migrations, right? So we can see here like a kind of centralized window where we can access all the information about the migration status. So this allows you to quickly understand the progress of your migrations and then also help in troubleshooting wherever some issues arise. Migration Hub, it also lets you track the status of migrations into different regions as well, maybe into the any region or across the regions. That is the purpose of having the dashboard. So discovering, then assess, and then migrate. All three things, step by step, would be visible here. That is the purpose of Migration Hub dashboard. Okay, next is AWS Database Migration Service. Now, Database Migration Service, uh, this is a managed migration and replication service, and it helps you move your database and analytics workloads to AWS quickly with almost zero downtime or the minimal downtime and then zero data loss. That is the purpose of database migration service. So with database migration service, it is like simple to use, minimal downtime. You can see here ongoing replication, which says that, sorry, um, even while migration, your existing database, it means your source database can still work. There is no need to stop your database when you are migrating it to the cloud, right? So in that case, when your source database is working and might be some ongoing changes are being done during the migration, that also would be replicated. So that is the ongoing replication feature of it, highly reliable. So we can see in this picture also, we have the source database and the target one. And through the DMS, various database migration service, we are migrating it. Now, under the database migration
Can you,
service, yes,
can you explain what is zero downtime and minimal downtime?
okay, sure. So here it is minimal downtime. Minimal downtime means that, as I told you, when we are migrating from source to the target, right? So source means it is at on-prem or maybe on some other public cloud. Uh, when we are migrating it, there is no need to stop our source database. So if that is not the case, it means suppose migrating data needs like maybe 6 hours. Also depends on the size of database, right? So if you assume that migration of database needs 6 hours, and if there is no feature where we can continuously work on database during the migration, in that case there would be the long downtime because we need to stop our source database. So that is why the point here is minimal, maybe for the few seconds, right? Maybe like just when we are clicking it at that time, but not for like long hours. That is the meaning of minimal downtime here, because we can still work on our source database even during the migration process.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, great. Yes, so we were talking about the different migrations. So there are two different migrations, homogeneous and heterogeneous. Here is the homogeneous one, and it shows that homogeneous, by the term, it means that source and target both have the same schema. It means both of them would be either relational or non-relational. Okay, so either like the SQL type or the no SQL type. So when we have the homogeneous, it means source and target both of the same schema type. It is just a one-step process, right? So like Oracle database here on-prem or might be on EC2 RDS as a source, and then we are migrating it through database migration service over to the Amazon RDS for Oracle. The other example here is MySQL database, which is at the on-prem or maybe running on EC2 or RDS, and then we are moving it to the Aurora, Amazon Aurora. So it's a kind of homogeneous. It's just a one-step process because they have the same kind of schema. Whereas the other one is heterogeneous. Now, when we have heterogeneous, it is a two-step process for migration. At the first step, we use a schema conversion tool. So if we see here, Oracle database as the source. As you can see, this one, Oracle database as the source. And then finally, we are moving it to the Amazon Aurora as a target. And we know that Aurora, it just supports Postgres and MySQL, not any other. So in that way, it is a kind of heterogeneous. So as a very first step, we first use the schema conversion tool, which is also given in AWS itself. We do a schema conversion tool so that it would get convert to a kind of schema which the target database is using. And then once it is done, so you can see here from Oracle to it is now MySQL, right? And then MySQL is supported by Amazon Aurora. So at very first step, we do the schema conversion to match it with the target database. And then in the second step, we actually migrate the data. So this is a kind of heterogeneous. Both are supported by AWS Migration Service. Database consolidation is another feature of database migration service where we are just collecting the data from different sources and then consolidating it at the target. So like in this case, MySQL at on-prem, MySQL on EC2, and then MySQL on RDS. Three sources where we are collecting from the three sources, and then we are moving it to the Amazon Aurora. This is another kind of use case to for the database migration service. And then another feature is about the continuous data replication. So with the database migration service, you can continuously replicate the data with low latency from a supported source to a supported target, right? So it's like it has a multitude of use cases where including the disaster recovery, and then some synchronization, maybe some geographic database distribution, all that can be easily resolved when we have this database migration service. All these use cases would be fulfilled. So I hope this is clear, data replication, because during migration also our existing database is working. So whatever changes are being done, that would be replicated to the target database. Next service, we have AWS Global Accelerator. Please confirm once. All good as of now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, no issues.
Yes, ma'am. No issue.
Okay, thank you. Next is AWS Global Accelerator. Now, AWS Global Accelerator, it is a networking service that helps you improve the availability, performance, and security of your public applications. So public applications means which are used at vast, okay, and then for the applications who have large customer base across the world, around the world. Like take an example of gaming or some e-commerce application which is being accessed around the world, right? Um, we can see here it is showing one example where it is like without AWS Global Accelerator and then with. So as I'm telling you, that's for the public application. It means we have, accessing the application around the world. So if you see on the left side of this diagram, when a client is trying or customer is trying to access the application, which is maybe defined here in this region, so it is going through a network and with multiple hops in between, right? So these are kind of ABCD here are the hops because it is like with the long distance, maybe across the country. So of course there would be some network hops. This actually increase the latency because it would take more time. Even when the response is coming back, it would take more time. It's like just the public internet. Whereas when we are using the global accelerator, which is shown at the right side, um, how it works is this symbol is showing you the global accelerator service. Now it gives you the two static IPs. So when we use this service, it gives us two static IPs and it acts as the entry point. Okay. So when the customer request is coming, only through the local internet it would go till this global accelerator, but not for the huge distance, only at this point. And now this global accelerator has a public IP, and through this it would enter to the AWS network. So AWS network means a kind of backbone network of AWS. It's nothing but like edge locations, right, where we are not using the public internet, and then this request would go directly to the application. So this helps in achieving the low latency. That is the purpose of global accelerator. We have a proper example here, the gaming example. So as I told you, um, gaming application, it means it is accessed around the world with huge number of customers. Now here it is showing that we have clients at different locations, and um, they are working on different destination ports. But this is a kind of static IP which is defined by global accelerator. So two static IPs are given. So client is when client request is coming, it would go to this global accelerator. So instead of going to each of these servers, because gaming application means there can be 50, 100,000 servers, right? So instead of going that request through the particular server, it would go till this public IP, and from this public IP, it would go to the Amazon global network. That is nothing but the edge locations. So this would help in achieving the low latency. And in gaming, we know that we need a faster response time, right? It has to be quick, like in milliseconds. So this is the example of AWS Global Accelerator. One more
Ma'am,
example is shown.
ma'am, in global accelerator, why they're using two unicast IP? Can you explain that, ma'am?
Yes, so two static IP, this is like to give you high availability. In case if something happens to one IP, we have another IP. So just for high availability, two static IPs are used.
In case of failover, like if one IP
Yes,
has down, then okay. So it is not
correct.
working simultaneously. Two
Sorry,
unicast IP is not working simultaneously.
both the IPs, you mean?
Yeah.
Both the IPs working? Yes, that is also possible. Two IPs would work simultaneously, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So this is one more example, which is about VoIP, that is voice over IP, where the voice over internet protocol. So like when we do a kind of WhatsApp call, it's like voice over IP because we call over the internet. So this is also showing global accelerator. We have one customer at this side and the one at the other end. And when they are calling, okay, means they are using the VoIP. In that case, the request is going to the global accelerator here and then here also. So this all is going through the global network of AWS. So this is basically used for voice over IP, that is for the calls over the internet, which can be the video calls, maybe some conferences or instant messaging. So we can see here, we have the EC2 here and on which these applications are running, which is like SIP. So SIP here is like session initiation protocol. Okay, or this is like remote transmission protocol. Sorry, real time transmission protocol, or yes, secure real-time transfer protocol. So this is another example where we use global accelerator to achieve low latency, right? So we have the static IPs at both the ends. Next, we are starting with analytics. So under analytics, the first service is Amazon Kinesis. Now, Amazon Kinesis, um, before that, let's have a look onto the what is streaming data. So streaming data is the one which generates continuously, like through the websites. Okay, like counting the clicks on the web pages, through the social medias, through the geospatial data, like we are using Google Maps and all. So huge amount of data it is generating continuously, right? Through some e-commerce applications, stock data, weather, when we evaluate the weather, or maybe data from the IoTs, okay, the sensor data. So streaming data means data which is generating continuously. We need to grab that data, maybe we need to collect the data and then process that data. For that, we have the data analytics services. So the very first one is Amazon Kinesis. Now, Amazon Kinesis, this service helps you to easily collect, process, and analyze the real-time data. So with this, the streaming data that we are getting, we can get timely insights and then react quickly to new information. It is also quite cost effective, and then it processes streaming data at any scale. So it is highly scalable as well. So with this, with the Kinesis data, you can ingest the real-time data such as the videos, maybe like audio, some application logs, website click streams, or any kind of IoT data. That all kind of data can be ingested with the Kinesis streams. And then we can process and analyze that data. So let's have a look on working of this Amazon Kinesis stream. Its first thing is it is serverless. So it is a serverless streaming data service and makes it easy to capture, process, and store the data at any scale. So here we have the producers. Now producers who are generating the data continuously. So it can be from some application, it can be from EC2 instances, or some from traditional servers. It can be anything. Okay. Then it is generating continuously. These are the producers. And now this data is coming into the shard. So what are the shards here? So shard, it's like a sequence of data records in a stream, and then it serves as a base throughput unit for the Kinesis data stream, because huge data is coming. So it is actually recording in the stream, in these shards. So usually this shard supports like 1 MB per second, and then 1,000 records per second for the writes, and then 2 MB per second for the reads. So it's nothing but a kind of we are generating shards means a kind of sequence of data records. That's it. It is also highly scalable. So the number of shards increase automatically when more data is generating from the producer. And now we have the consumers at the other end. So consumer again can be, of course, servers or maybe some other application running on these servers to process their data. And then consumers, they use these shards for parallel data processing as well. This is how it works. Once data is processed, it can be again sent to any targets like the destinations here, like the S3, DynamoDB, Redshift, EMR, or Firehose. That is the purpose of Kinesis Stream. Another service we have the Kinesis Firehose. So we just checked the Kinesis Stream. So under Kinesis Stream, actually we are capturing the data, and then also we are storing and then processing it, right? But Kinesis Firehose, this actually reliably loads. It actually only loads. We are not doing any processing here, but it loads the real-time streams into data lakes or warehouses or redshifts or S3. So whatever your data is coming, okay, from any source, it helps in loading that data to these destinations. That is the purpose of Kinesis Firehose. It is also a fully managed service, and then capture and then load the massive volumes of streaming data to these destinations, which are shown here. That is the purpose. Here is how it works. So when we are using this, Kinesis Firehose, this slide is particularly showing you the Kinesis analytics, how we can do that. Now, analytics means here we are running a analytics application, as you can see, and it is running the application code, which is nothing but a SQL query, maybe the couple of SQL queries. So when data is coming, which can be from the Kinesis stream or from the Firehose, okay, we can do analysis of that data by running the Kinesis analytics application, which is running some application code. So this we can create our own as well, right? We can create our own Kinesis analytic application where we are running our own queries. And then once the output goes after running these queries, that output again, application output can go to the application, to the Kinesis stream or the Firehose stream, and then stored later at the S3 bucket on the Redshift. This is how the data analytics is done. All good? So you can author your own SQL queries here.
Yes.
Okay. Next is Amazon QuickSight. Amazon QuickSight, it creates and share the dashboards that scale to hundreds of thousands of users on any device. So the purpose here is that Amazon QuickSight, it is a serverless architecture. It has serverless architecture, and then it automatically scales to hundreds of thousands of the users without any need to set up, configure, or manage your own servers. It is like creating the intelligent dashboards, right? Um, when you are using this Amazon QuickSight, there is no need for you to deal with any slow dashboards like during peak hours or maybe integrating with the multiple BI tools. Everything is automatically managed by this QuickSight service. So this allows you to directly connect um, and import the data from a wide variety of cloud or from the on-prem as well. So let's see here. We can collect data which can be from the other cloud, which can be at the on-prem. Okay. Then again from different data sources, we integrate with the QuickSight where actually it creates intelligent dashboards and we can send the reports as emails. We can do some analytics from these QuickSight dashboards. So a kind of, visualization and overview of whatever is running to your AWS account. All that would be helpful when we are using the QuickSight. Next one is Amazon Athena. And I think this is the last service. And then we would start with a demo of Athena. So Amazon Athena, again, it is serverless. So it is a serverless service. There is no infrastructure to maintain. And then it is an interactive query service, which helps you to analyze and query the data located in the S3 bucket. That is the purpose of Athena. So sometimes what happens that we have a huge bulk of data stored in S3, but we just want to query part of it. In that case, we go for Athena. There is no need to extract, transform, or load that data. So directly Athena runs the query on S3 bucket. So we are not using any ETL tools here. And the kind of data which it supports is like CSV format, JSON format, ORC, Avro, or Parquet, all these formats are supported. So we would look into one example also while the demo part. Use cases, if we have a huge number of log files stored in S3, we can query it, any business reports, or like some cost and usage reports. Maybe the queries on the clickstream data, which is stored in S3. So these are the different use cases where we can use Athena to query the data. We are going to start with demo part, and here is a kind of diagram given. So what we are going to do, actually, we are not going to use the CloudFront here. Um, we are going to upload some data to the S3, okay, maybe the kind of CSV file, and then we are going to use Athena to query the data from S3. That is what we are going to do. Why they have shown here CloudFront is actually they are using here the table of CloudFront, but we are not creating the table of CloudFront, but our own created table. That is what we are going to do. With this, we are going to start with a demo. So before demo, any questions?
Ma'am, if you're using the kinesis, then what is the use of blue?
Okay. I would give you the exact answer, but I would better check once, because exactly I would like to check once before answering your question. So you mean that if we are using the kinesis, then what is the purpose of glue, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I would answer you during the office hour. So I think glue is again the ETL tool, except transform and load, and which can be used with
Yes.
databases. Yeah. And when we're talking about the kinesis, see, actually it is a fully managed service. Uh, from our side, we are not using any ETL kind of thing here. It is doing from itself. But to be more precise, I would prefer to check once.
Okay.
Okay. Any more questions? So for today's demo, I am following this link and I am putting this in the chat. You can also try this maybe now or later to use the Athena service. You can directly use your sandbox environment. No worries. Okay, so if we check the demo part, what we are going to use as a first step, we are going to create a bucket, and then inside the bucket, once created, we are going to upload a file. So they have given one file with the name fraudtest.csv. It is a huge file, more than 100 MB. So this would take some time to upload. I have already uploaded it to save the time here. So we're going to upload this file, and I am preferring to upload this inside a folder. Now, once that is done, we would go to the Athena service, and then here we are going to create one more bucket. So whenever we use Athena service, we need to create a bucket where the query result is going to be stored. So another bucket just to show the results of query we are going to store here. So create one more bucket, and then after that, yeah, we are just showing the location here to store the query results. And then we are going to create a table. So already we have a CSV file. So we would use here from the create table, we would use S3 bucket data. So it means whatever data we have in the S3, in S3 bucket, that would be created in the form of a table here in Athena. And then we would plan to query that. So let's follow. Actually, part of it I have done already to avoid, to save the time here. So first, let me show you the bucket. So I have two buckets, one bucket here. Inside the bucket, I have named the full data set, and then inside this, I have uploaded the file that is fraudtest.csv. It is 143 MB file. So in case if you are planning to try this, it would take some time to upload the file. Okay. Apart from that, there is one more bucket that is query result. Now, once these two buckets are created, we would go to the Athena part. Now, um, okay, let's launch the query editor. So this is the home page of Athena. I am going to launch the query editor. Now, when we are doing this, we have to go to the settings first, and we have to set the bucket location for the query results. So already set here from my side. In case you are trying, you just have to go to settings, and then it would give you the button here that is the browse, and you have to browse this. So I can show you if I manage here. Um, this is the bucket, query bucket. You just have to browse from here and you can select the bucket name. So the query results would be stored here. Now, once that is done, we would go here to the editor part. Okay. So I have a new data here. That is a database name. You can create, if you wish, you can create one database. Now, under this database, I'm going to create a table. So click on create, and then table. See, create table can be like create table as select, where it would show you the query to create a table. Like I'm just showing you. If I create and then select this one, so it is showing me the query, maybe the table name and the columns. But because I want to query data which is already in the S3, so I'm closing this query, and then I'm going to create the table from S3 bucket data. Okay, so let's give a table name. Just give me a minute. Okay, so let's give a table name like I'm giving here a new table. I'm not sure if numbers can come. Okay, so I'm just giving here new table 333. And then I'm going to choose here existing database. So new data. This is my own database created. So new data. And then from where to get the data. So this is like the input. So let's click on browse S3. And then my data is here, right? So click on, okay, I will just click once more, and then data set. So it means what? I am going to choose a complete path because inside dataset my file is there. So click on choose, and it would be, as you can see, it would be in the similar way. So if your data is like they have shown here also as an example, if your data is inside some subfolders, you have to take all those folders. So my file is under dataset. So I have to put here slash in the end. That is how we are going to give location of the input data set. So you can see here they have explained also if your file is 1.csv, which is under the logs, so you have to give in this way, logs and then slash. And now the table type, let it be the same thing, but then file format is CSV. So my file is CSV file for test.csv file, and then the columns. So whatever columns maybe we want to retrieve here. So this file has more number of columns. Let me show you this file. I am going to type. Okay, I think it was on the top itself. This one, okay. So I'm just showing you what is inside the file. It is a huge file. It's taking time to open also. So I think this would take some time to open because I can't see as of now. Anyways, my purpose is to just tell you that this file has a more number of columns, but when we are adding the column here, might be we just want the selected data. So um, I'm going to show you. Okay, I think file is opened now. So you can see here. 1 second. Yes. So if you see the number of columns, transfer date, trans time, then CC number, merchant, category, amount, first, last, tender, so many columns are there. But we would just query few of the columns. Okay. You can see the huge data we have inside this file. So I'm going to take particular columns like first as the ID and then the column type. This is the type int. Then is another column. So CC number. So like we can take around 5, 6 columns, which we are going to retrieve to our query. Another column is merchant of type string. Another is category, again of type string. And then like amount of type float. So we have taken around 5 columns. Maybe one more we can add here. First, this is like the first name and then the string type, right? Once the columns are selected, we are going to click on the create table. And you can see here, whatever we did, like giving the table name and then the columns types, it has created a query also for us, right? So create a table. So with this, it is showing this query, new table 333. So table is created for us. It is showing completed successfully. And now once this table is created, we can retrieve the data. So how to retrieve the data? So adding one more query here and I can type here like select, maybe retrieving all the rows, select star from, and then our database. So what is our database here? Database is new data and then the table name. Okay, let's refresh once. So this is our table, right? New table 333 which we just created. So I can copy this. So select star from the table name and then limit 10. Maybe the first 10 rows because this table is quite big. So let's run this query. It is showing completed successfully and we can see the result here, right? We can see the result here. It is showing the first 10 entries and then all the columns that we mentioned in our query, right? So I hope this is fine how we query data from S3. And we can confirm here with our, let's refresh once. So we know that we have our query result bucket, this one. So let's check what is inside this bucket now. It would be having the multiple subfolders of 2024, then 02, 01. And you can see here today is Feb 1. It is just showing the current time, right? And this is like couple of hours back, and this is the current time. So this is a kind of query result which is stored here. If you try to open this CSV, let's check once. It is downloaded and we can open from here and you can see. So with this, we have our query result saved as well. I hope this is fine. It is meaningful. In the same way, if you open the text data, it's not going to show you much here. I think so, nothing actually. Text data, because our data is CSV file, so under TXT it is not showing anything. And this is the data about the file. So if you open this metadata means data about the file. Let's check what's inside that. Are we able to see anything? Actually, this app is not supporting to open that document as it is with the extension .metadata. No worries. But yeah, the main purpose is that we have our query results stored in the S3 bucket. So this is about the today's demo. Please let me know any questions. Any questions regarding the demo part?
I think we need to practice, then only we'll be having questions.
Sure.
So, but
Sure.
whatever
No.
we got, it is fine now. Like for my understanding, it is fine. So once
Okay.
we start doing the demo, that time like we might get the queries.
Correct. So that's why I have shared the link also on the chat. You can try from your side. It is under the sandbox. So, like, there should not be any concern about the cost and all.
Okay, okay, fine.
Yeah. So with this, we have at least ended the content of today's session, and now we are open to have any questions from your side. So please feel free to ask any questions. So one question already someone asked, that is about the glue, why we are using Kinesis if we have the glue. Apart from that, any questions? Anything from the previous modules, labs, knowledge checks?
Ma'am, there is one question.
Yes, tell me.
Ma'am, actually, I'm just opening my, it's updating. My laptop is just going to be, started, ma'am. I'm seeing that in particular, assessment, there are few questions that seems to be, their answers seem to be wrong, ma'am. Even I browse through Google as well, so there I get the same answer that I was marking there. So that is why even I'm not able to proceed ahead with the next lectures in the module 5, ma'am.
Is it okay? Can you please share those questions maybe better in the email? So can you please write the email to all the instructors and then mention all the questions, like maybe with the KC number and the question content, or then that would be
Ma'am,
really helpful.
ma'am,
Okay.
shall we
Yeah.
do it?
So
Thank you, ma'am.
sure, sure, because we have to forward those questions to the team if that is the case, and then yeah, having the proper record of the questions would be helpful.
So,
Yeah, any questions? I'm just checking the other things as well. Any questions, please let us know. Yes. So to answer the question about the kinesis and the glue, I just got a good link. And so as per the information, both the glue and kinesis, they offer the analytics service. So like managing and processing the data. Okay. But the purpose is different. So that how it is different is that glue actually focuses only on the ETL part. It means extract, transform, and load. So it makes easy for customers to prepare and then load their data for analytics. So when we are using this glue, it actually extracts the data from various sources and then transform it and then load it to the various data stores
Yeah,
for
so glue
analysis.
is doing, it's preparing the data for analytics.
Yes, yes. Cleaning the data and then extracting and then transforming for analysis purpose. Whereas Kinesis, it is actually the platform for streaming the data. So for real time, which is generating for the real time data. So it enables you to collect, process, and analyze the real time data, which can be the audio, video, some logs, or data from IoT. So, as a summary, Glue is just focused on ETL and data preparation part, whereas Kinesis for the real-time processing data, for real-time
But ma'am,
streaming data.
Kines is also doing the ETL part also, no?
Which part?
ETL part.
Kinesis is also doing, but Glue is only focusing on ETL. Whereas in Kinesis, we are collecting the real-time generated data. Though it is doing ETL also, but here it is giving you the platform to capture the real time which is generating. Are you getting that? For Glue, we
Okay.
are actually collecting from different sources, but for this streaming, it is giving you platform for the real time streaming data.
Yeah, I got it. Actually, it's a real-time data is doing ETL part, then it is analyzing the
Correct,
Kinesis that one. But in
correct.
case of Blue, it is not a real-time data is analyzing ETL stream.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, thank
Great.
you, ma'am.
Sure. Thanks for asking. So we are waiting more questions from your side. Any pending queries from your side? Any pending emails which need to be answered?
I have one more question.
Yes.
I found that Casey, it's automating your architecture, and I attempted, I mean, 3 times, and right now I'm not even able to retake the assessment as well. So, ma'am, what must be done in that particular case? Because even if it, I mean, it is also showing me correct answers as well.
Is it? So how much percentage you are getting in that, Casey?
Ma'am, actually, it is expected 7 out of 10, but I am getting 6.30 out of 10, ma'am.
So it means, okay, it means there are few wrong questions and that is like not grading you more than 7. That is a reason, right? And you were telling that
Um,
three attempts are done from your side.
ma'am.
Okay. So what I would do, see, usually in these cases, we tell learners to deep dive for that particular module. It means there is a kind of, more efforts from your side needed to learn the concepts because even after 3 trials, you are not able to score more than 7. So I am going to give you 2 more extra attempts for that, Casey.
Uh,
But before attempting that, please deep dive to that particular module.
Ma'am, along with that, uh, for certain questions, I mean, the answer is, I mean, different, ma'am. I mean, what it is showing in the answer is different as compared to what I browse through, I mean, Google and even confirm through
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT as well. I mean, I referred two resources, ma'am.
Okay. So see, as of now, immediately we can't correct that. As I told you, um, just give in detail all the questions wherever you have found that answers marked are wrong, right? So make a list of those and please email it. So at this moment, just to unblock you, I can give you the extra attempts and then try to answer the other questions which are wrong. Maybe as of now, just to unblock, and then we would work on to mark the correct answers.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so
Thank you so much, ma'am.
sure. So Rajat, can you tell me the KC name so that I can give you extra attempts on it?
It's automating your architecture knowledge check assessment
Okay, one second.
in module 5.
Okay, automating your architecture knowledge check assessment, right? Okay, let me check. So just give me a minute. I would give you two extra attempts. And then please make sure to write an email where you would mention all the questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so Rajat, I have given you the extra attempts. Just refresh and then please check once.
So, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Sure. In fact, one thing we can do, as you were telling from this particular quiz, we can discuss the question here also. Because now you already know the, one second, because already you know the question here. So let's check that.
Ma'am.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Everyone, please feel free to give your inputs. Automating. Okay, this is the one. So, which question you are telling, Rajat?
First one.
First one. Okay. Apart from that, any other question you feel?
Apart from first one, there is ma'am 10th
Okay.
and 7th. I'm confused, ma'am.
So, are you telling that in your view, 10th is also marked wrong?
Yes, ma'am. 10th is wrong, and 7th is wrong. I mean, what I have received answer here. I mean, I have viewed answer for the seventh question. It shows me the three options for the. I mean, the second one, third one, and the last one.
Uh-huh.
Actually, it is wrong. It's showing me partial, ma'am. And
Okay.
ma'am,
So, if you see the
one and first
seventh
one. These
question,
are yes, ma'am. First
yeah.
and seventh, I consider. I mean, there is some. I mean, ambiguity or something, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. So, others also, please give your input. So, like, if the seventh question we see, what does AWS Ops work do? So as per this quiz, first three are the right options: manage Puppet, and then automate server configurations, deployment and management, and then manage the chef. Okay.
First is the correct answer. That is true.
The first
Yes.
and third are correct, and it might be second is also fine because it like a ops work. Generally, it will do that automation also, right?
Yes. It does. It does automating the server configurations, deployment. So one, two, three are correct. So sometimes what happens, see, when we get such questions, maybe in the exam also, it's quite easy to suppose in this question it is asking you the three correct answers. So many times there is a possibility that out of three, two we are able to find out very easily, but third one is a bit difficult or maybe some confusing for us, like which is the correct one. So
Yes,
that
ma'am.
might be the case for some of you. So first three are the right here. Config management is done by ops work as well. So first three are right for the seventh question. Now if you see the 10th question, so 10th question is about sorry, where is the 10th one? This is the ninth one. Yeah. So 10th one is that several on-demand instances in EC2 must launch at random times and then run for limited durations. Okay. So several on demand would launch at the runtime, random times, and then run for limited. And then they must have application and package configurations that are determined at the launch time. So which solution provides the most efficient way to automatically build these instances? So the options we have here are AMI, CloudFormation, OpsWork, okay, and then Elastic Beanstalk. Now, as per the quiz, they are telling you ops work, and if we see the question also, it is about, yeah. So like you have chosen cloud formation. So cloud formation is not right here because cloud formation is like when we are using a template, and then it is an infrastructure as a code. So we are creating infrastructure through the code. But here it is asking about package configurations at the launch time. Most efficient way to automatically build these instances. So, yeah, cloud formation is not that is right. But can you see sometimes we can think of AMI also here because it is telling you the package configurations. They must have application and package configuration determined at the launch time. So sometimes learners can get confused with, or maybe anyone can think of AMI also. So OpsWork is the right answer. Uh, please open the link for OpsWork and then study more on it. That would give you more clarity. Even if you have some confusion, so better I would say open the OpsWork document and then read it. Yeah, Tanmay already answered here. OpsWork is the right option. Okay, and then Rajat, you are telling about the first question as well. Some reasons to use automation to provision resources. Now, two answers to be chosen here. Okay, so options are alignment with reliability design principle, and then lack of version control with manual processes. So, of course, automation means yes, manual processes we need to avoid because those are error prone as well. Then, automation requirement for high availability is one option, greater expense with manual processes, and then automation requirement for creating some resources. Okay, so as per the quiz, first two options are right here. So you have to think the optimum one. Sometimes you might think, okay, these three are correct or these four are correct, but what is the most appropriate that we have to select? So, like you have answered here, the third option as well, but most appropriate are the first two.
Hmm.
So,
Ma'am,
okay, so
can you
as
explain the
for
first answer? Can you just
for
explain just what is? Yeah,
alignment with the reliability design principle. So, see, if you remember the framework also, the AWS framework, in that also
yeah.
we have the reliability pillar, right? So, um, when we are using automation, so whatever the reliability pillar has been defined and that we are using in our maybe resources or the services, it would align it with that principle automatically. So that is a kind of following the best practice when we go for automation part. Automation to provision the resources. We are not manually aligning those with the reliability principle, but yeah, automatically that would be taken care of.
But high availability also come under six pillars of maybe. It also recommend that you
Oh.
have to actually deploy your application in highly availability in different regions or different AC. That also come in six pillars.
See, when we talk about the high availability, so it is also about what kind of services we are using, right? So in some cases might be high availability would not support under automation. Like think of EC2, it is not a managed service. So in that case, we have to take care from our side. In that case, automation would not help. So every time automation would not help in case of high availability. Even in case of RDS, we have to manually select the uh, you know, high availability means like multi-AZ architecture.
But it's tell us to deploy in a high availability because in case our server to get down, so we can access those in from other region.
Yes, that is always recommended. That is recommended, but it is up to us again, right?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So, Rajat, I think from this quiz, um, I think all questions are fine. I did not find anything where maybe the answer is marked wrong from AWS side. But even if still some of you feel so, majority of you, then please write an email to that.
Ma'am, actually, it was just question number one
Mhm.
that we have discussed right now. I mean,
Okay.
even I referred to Quizlet and it was showing me A and C. And for the same question, the ChatGPT was also showing the, I mean, same answer. And I was also, I mean, inclined toward that particular answer as well. So that is why I was just confused, ma'am.
Okay. But are you clear with this now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So I'm just stopping sharing my screen. And any more questions from your side? We still have time. If you have any questions, then please go ahead. If no more questions, then I think we are good to wind up today's session. One last call. Any questions?
No, Shefali.
Hmm.
Okay. Yes. So, yes, we can assume that no questions, and then me and Rahul both are good to wind up.
And what
Yes,
about
Shafali.
next week's topic?
Next week topic would be on pricing. So we are going to look into the pricing fundamentals of storage services, database services, compute services.
Okay,
That would be
fine.
the next week topic. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, sure then. See you next week. Have a good weekend and take care. Bye bye.
Yeah, good
Thank you,
night.
ma'am.
Thank you all.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Bye everyone.